Abandoned Albums is brought to you by Amazon Kidneys. When you need a kidney and have run out of healthcare options, but still have room on your credit card, log into Amazon. We've got you covered. Amazon Kidneys, we're more than just everything. We're all things.
Welcome to Abandoned Albums, the documentary podcast. Each week, our intrepid group of researchers and music archivists dig through the record crates of the world, finding those albums that may have been lost over time. If a new artist is discovered along the way, that's all the better. Using a patent-pending algorithm and spirited debate, we pick one album to discuss. Once that is settled, we will invite the artists to Thunder Love Studio to chat with your hosts, Keith R. Higgins and Geoff Calhoun. When we're lucky, they say yes. Our mission with Abandoned Albums is simple: to make sure artists' recorded work remains, or in some cases, lands on, the cultural radar. We invite you to sit back and relax. Thank you for joining us.
Drum beat test for stereo spread.
Welcome to Abandoned Albums. I'm your host, Geoff Calhoun. With me is your other host, Keith R. Higgins. Hey man, you have used this phrase in the past, and I want to use it to introduce our guest for the week. The phrase is polymath. And I thought, that's a packed word. It's got layers of meaning. I'm going to look that one up. Coming from the Greek polymathos, meaning someone who has a broad range of knowledge across many subjects and is known for using that knowledge to solve problems. You could use polymath or polyhistor, as in historian. And I think polyhistor really applies to our guest this week, who is Henry Owings. And if the name doesn't immediately resonate with you, listener, we will fix that, because Henry, our resident polyhistor, is from Chunklet. So if you were to Google Chunklet Industries, you might find books, you might find a record label, you might find a concert series as a promoter, you might find stand-up comedy, you might find a magazine. I mean, this guy, he's all over the place, Keith. If you have any familiarity with musical counterculture in the state of Georgia, he's probably a name you've come across, because he resides currently in Atlanta, but I think kind of came up in the Athens, Georgia music scene. He has a book called Plus One Atlanta that was what he calls a preservation project. And he was scanning and archiving all sorts of concert posters and various relevant musical history documents, artifacts, I guess you would say. And that project has expanded to well beyond just Atlanta. The number of lives that he has touched working with comedians and musicians, filmmakers, documentary people. I think people just came crawling out of the woodwork and said, "Hey, I've got this. It's not from Georgia. It's from maybe Mississippi or Tennessee." And so I think he ended up with certainly more content than just one local Georgia book would hold. But that's not how I know Henry Owings. I know Henry Owings from his record label. I've purchased a lot of music that he has been the man behind. The magazine obviously had very broad reach, touched a lot of people. So how's that for an intro? There's a lot of ground to cover here, Keith. I think it's going to be interesting. Load up on your ADD medication, folks, because we're going to touch a lot of topics. And here's our conversation with Henry Owings.
Hey, Troy. I'm going to do what Brian Teasley taught me, which is take over the interview. I went and saw Neil Young with Crazy Horse a couple of weeks ago.
How was it?
It was all right.
Yeah.
No, it was fucking amazing.
You found a way to enjoy yourself?
Oh, yeah. No, it's like, huh? Yeah, it's like reunion tour, huh?
Yeah.
No, Brian, the second the show in Huntsville was announced, I asked if he could give me plus whatever on the guest list. I knew that I could come. It wasn't a question of that. It was like, can I push it a bit? And we came with three of us, and we had pit passes. Like, we were standing underneath Neil Young's nose. And when, like, as the night progressed and as I sobered up over the night, all I kept thinking to myself is, I said, I know that Brian is not by himself. I mean, this is a Live Nation thing. Like, this is like a corporate entity. But what I couldn't believe as a kid from Amish country in Pennsylvania, I couldn't believe how beautifully simple and elegant that performance, that venue, the staff, everything was as homespun as you could imagine. And I felt like I was living in a pretend world where my friends were working with rock stars. Brian Teasley is the shit. And I am so glad that I'm maybe that much a part of his life. Like, we work together a lot, but we work the way together, it's like whatever happens.
Yeah.
Is this an interview about Brian Teasley? Am I getting a job after this?
Yeah.
Who's hiring? Oh, shut up.
I tell you what,
I feel like wow. So Henry Owings opens up about Brian Teasley, said nobody ever.
What's funny, Henry, is you talk about him taking over an interview. I knew that I wanted to work with Keith. Keith started this podcast and did a couple seasons worth of episodes before he and I met. And I had done numerous interviews on the radio back in the day and in press, writing for like the Black and White in Birmingham and various entertainment papers. And I saw an interview that he'd done that stood out to me. And I went, "Oh, you talked to S.W. Loudon from the band Czar." And he's like, "Yeah, great band."
No, it was Jeff Whalen.
Oh, Jeff Whalen. What's Jeff Whalen? Thank you. And I went, Jeff Whalen was the most difficult interview I ever did on the radio because he refused to be interviewed. He came on the air and he immediately flipped it and was like, "Oh, I understand you play in a band." And he wanted to interview me about my band. And I was like, no, that's not what we're here for. And Jeff wouldn't hear any of it. So when I heard Keith do that interview with Czar, I was like, you got some fucking chops. You can keep people on task. So not to heap too much pressure on you, Keith, but I feel like we have a Jeff Whalen on our hands.
Yeah, a little bit.
I'm not going to speak for Brian, but I'm going to speak for Brian. Like what I love is that we're kind of the same argument, but like two different versions. Like he's really funny and I'm just awkward. Or he's the awkward one and I'm the funny one. I can't remember, but I love him. I mean, I loved him when I met him in 1992.
How did you guys meet?
We met at the Club Fred.
Please.
But I only want to.
Please.
But I only want to help you.
Please.
Here we are, 10, 15 minutes into the conversation. We've mentioned your name, Henry Owings, but we have not mentioned Chunklet Industries, which is where most people would recognize the name. And I know Brian collaborated with you and helped with the publication on the magazine side, but you also have Chunklet Industries set up as a record label and have put out your garage has got to be chock full of crates of vinyl, I would imagine.
Like I could show you my inventory, which is right next to me. And here, I'm going to watch this. This is the inventory right here.
Wow.
That's it. That is it. Wait, I want to make sure to get all of it in there. Hold on. I'm sorry I have such a bald head. So yeah, that's it.
You're very blessed then to have sold that many records.
I have told every band I've put out a record with, I said, I'm sorry that you have to put out a record with me, but I like to think that, look, if there's money to be made, I want the artist to make it. I come from the punk rock, Fugazi, Discord, like Touch and Go, Steve Albini, like whatever the artist wants, the artist gets. End of discussion. But in what is it, 2024?
Correct.
It is
2024, yeah. Keith. All right.
Yeah.
The premise of putting out an artifact is commercial suicide.
Mm-hmm.
Truly.
And so I say this as a lifelong fan of the medium. I love putting out records. I love being part of the tapestry.
Mm.
I clearly have an aversion for making money. I am really, 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 really stupid. But I can say that I am the guy that got to put out the first Ultralights record or the first Vangas record or the first, like Lifeguard single. It's like there's so much. was the question? I'm just really happy to see you guys and talk to you guys. Am I giving good interviews so far? Keith.
Absolutely.
Keith, on a scale of 1 to 10, how's the interview so far?
7 and a half.
7? Yeah. What can I do to make it better? Shirtless? Shirtless. Did you say shirtless?
I did.
Okay.
I did not say shirtless.
You didn't? So what about you, Geoff? 7 out of 10.
You misheard the word pants. Just 7 out of 10 because I haven't gotten a chance to probe about specific records yet, but we'll get there. I have confidence.
So I am going to shut up and let you two just whatever you want to. Like, I can't believe somebody wanted to talk about Nodal, for fuck's sake.
Listen. Nodal slept on my couch in 1999, and I am forever changed by the experience.
Where?
Tuscaloosa,
Alabama?
Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
Were they playing with Manor-Astroman?
No, they were playing with Blip, which is my band, at Vinyl Solution Records, right there on the Strip in the university. Later that evening, played the Chucker, and we put them on the radio on WVUA FM. So the trifecta.
Like, I love when I was putting out records back then. Like, the idea that anybody would send me any demo or anything, I would listen to all of it like, oh, this is so great. And Nodal was one of those. And it came through the Trans Am guys in like 97. Like, Philip, he said, you got to check out Nodal. And I was like, Nodal, all into it. And so when Nodal sent me those EPs, it is so dumb. It is so completely dumb and amateur and rookie, but I love it so much. It is like Nodal Dance Party. Nodal Dance Party. Are you serious? Like, I mean, that Nodal Dance Party.
It's great music. It seems like the artists that you wrap your arms around, because I'm going to get into a couple now. We'll talk about the magazine in a moment.
I'll talk, dude. Anybody who can talk about Nodal, we're going to be here a while.
Okay. You mentioned Jason Molina, and I think for a lot of fans that don't know the name, Songs Ohio is it's something that the Songs Ohio fans seem to be ride or die. And I think you can say that about most of the Elephant Six music. You could say that about the Apples in Stereo, I think you certainly can say that about Dove. Anybody that doesn't own a copy of 8 Letters is missing an opportunity to fill their heart with look. I'm gonna read, if I may, from the site where someone describes that release as mythic urtex of rock and roll, greatness that destroys the world and immediately fucks off.
during the pandemic, gentlemen, I got to put out a record with Dove and give that money to my very good friend Henry, who is the only other Henry I have ever called Henry. And I love that motherfucking dude. And you know what? Dove. I think it's a very Southern thing. You know, it's like, it's like, honestly, dude, I've been here for a minute, and like when Dove, the couple of times Dove played here, they were discounted as a High on Fire, like sort of like tribute band.
Really? No, they're fucking just
dude. I love them. I love Dove, but it's
sacred ground. And then look, you put out
the Floor record, or the triple the live DVD I did.
Yeah. You put out the Don Caballero record, 5 Pairs of Crazy Pants, Wear 'em. Look, that's, you want to talk about important rock and roll artifacts.
So here is how that happened. Pat, the bass player, I was at his place in Chicago, and we've been talking about his band before Don Cab, called Northern Bushmen. And I said, dude, I would give anything to release the Northern Bushmen. And so I took a box of tapes and came back with that stuff and just asked him point blank. I said, there's this RCT demo that is straight from the board. It is the board tape. And additionally, you gave me a VHS tape of that filming, of that broadcast. And that's how it happened. And so I had not been in touch with Damon for a while. And I hit him up, and I just said, what would you think of putting this out? And I think because it didn't have Ian on it, he was really gung-ho about it. And so that's how the live record happened. But could it be considered for completists? Sure. I'm a completist, but I would say that for Don Caballero, it is the proof of concept. I would say it's the proof of concept for what Don Cab is, was, and always will be. And so that's why I love that record.
It's, maybe I'm a completist. Maybe I've just now realized this about myself.
Henry Owings, nice to meet you.
Yeah, maybe this is why we get along. Man, so if you of the catalog, and you've been fortunate to be able to release a ton of Man or Astroman records, all of which are fantastic. Like I said, the Apples and Stereo records I think are wonderful. That Dove record kicks ass. We'll leave Nodal to the side because we both personally have some level of bias involved, but if you had to pick a favorite of the Chunklet catalog,
no.
Choose your favorite child, Henry.
No. So I'm gonna politely pivot.
Sure.
Because
why stop now?
Well, but hey, Keith, I'm glad you're here for the interview. Take care.
I'm here for color commentary.
Yeah. So when I think of, I've put out over 150 records. And when I think of 150 records, none of it is obligatory. None of it is album cycle. None of it is anything. So when I think of the records, they're babies. Like nothing is easy. And when I think of records that I just absolutely love, like the beautiful beings they are, like All the Saints, I think that All the Saints record is a stone cold masterpiece. Look Like You're Going Somewhere, to those that don't know. The band Vangas from here in Athens, I met when I was going through my divorce. And I just absolutely fell in love with them. They were all like 19-year-old obsessives of the band Swans. And like, for instance, they have a song called Every Day is the Same. Go listen to it and tell me that is not the most brilliant band you've ever heard in your life, where they play one note for 5 minutes. And at no point are you like going, it's like, are they playing one note? It's like, motherfucker, they're punching me in the neck with one note. Like, it is one of the most incredible things I've ever seen in my life ever. And I love Vangas. The fact that nobody knows who they are, perfect. Go listen to them. The band... The band that means the most to me is Elephant Six related. And it is Will and Bill and Geoff and John and Derek. But to do Elf Power and the Olivia Tremor Control records is a badge of honor I will never grow tired of carrying, because they're my brothers, and sisters. They're my family, and they're like my chosen family. And I remember being here in Georgia in the 90s, and nobody gave a fuck. Nobody cared. But time is what time is, and I'm just really overjoyed to be part of their success. And I'm sorry if I went negatively, but like they're great. The other band that one last band that I am going to bring up, and I have I'm going to pull this up. And it is a band from 1981 to 83. They were a 5-piece band. They were a band for 25 months. And anybody in Athens, anybody in Georgia will tell you it's like they were here for a minute. But it is one of the most profound things I have ever been a part of. And I can't believe that I am associated with it. But it is the ghost of Athens that nobody ever wanted to talk about.
And for those listening, don't have the benefit of the video, Henry held up the limbo.
Oh, shit. I'm sorry. There's no video? Oh, shit.
We've got people that listen on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, all over the place. So Limbo District, I assume that's a self-titled?
Yes, it's the live record. I'm sorry. I didn't realize this was for a podcast. Yes. The band is called Limbo District. They were a band when I moved to Georgia in 1991. There was an extraordinarily short list of bands I cared to find anything about from Athens in 1991. And it was like Love Tractor, Pylon, Method Actors, Tone Tones. And one of those bands was Limbo District. The only way I can describe them to anybody who's not a music fan is just think, if you will, like a really sort of like arty, like African/Asian music. I could bring up a zillion touch points for anybody that wants to like get into it, but it's I just can't believe that Henry Owings in 2024 is the bonehead that's releasing Limbo District on Society, because it feels very important.
Oh.
It feels far more important than me. Yeah, like the way like I remember feeling about Galaxy 500 in 1990. The kind of thing where I was like, oh my God, I think the whole world is really going to find this really special. Not that I'm going to sell 2 copies. It's like selling it in 2024 is like, it's the most immaterial of like metrics.
Right.
So. Yeah, it's like, so it's like Manor Astroman I would put on par with Limbo District. At least Manor Astroman had a shitload of records. Limbo District had nothing.
Yeah.
Zero. Nothing. Not even a demo.
How did you discover them if they didn't have any recorded?
So Keith, there was a documentary, if you've not heard it, called Athens, Georgia, Inside Out. And for about 15 seconds, like if you go to get popcorn, you would miss it. Where it's a montage of Athens scenesters saying Limbo District was their favorite band.
Oh.
You can have more time to practice your putting with the Potty Putter, the amazing new toilet time golf game that lets you practice your putting on the potty.
Tell me about Elephant 6 and your involvement.
Well, they're my family, for better or for worse. But I love them all unconditionally. And it breaks my heart to think that Bill Doss from the Olivias, it took his death to bring me close to Robert Schneider. But when I look at the Elephant 6 sort of thing, it's like documentaries, books, whatever. I was there and irrefutably there. It's like, and not in a casual sort of like doing drugs in the alleyway. Although the members all did drugs in the alleyway. It's like If there is one thing about the Olivias, they always brought the best drugs. But when I look at what the Olivias became, I was merely hanging out. I mean, no different than. I mean, it's like it's weird for me to talk about the Elephant Six thing insofar that when I lived in Pennsylvania, I would go to DC shows, and I couldn't believe I was standing in the same room as members of Dag Nasty or Grey Matter. 3, like whatever punk rock Discord Minor Threat, it's like GI, whatever you want to bring up. But what I couldn't believe is that I was there for it. And then I moved to Athens. And to think that this innocent, fresh scrub kid from Amish country is there, like arm in arm with what becomes Nutrimilk Hotel, the Olivia Tremor Control, Elf Power of Montreal. It was all I can say is Athens trained me to be this way.
For better or worse.
I wish I could take credit for it, but it's like I hold Athens, I hold Georgia, I hold the South in the highest of fucking regards, and I can't believe that I am part of it, humbly, and so when I think of the Olivias, I just think of my fuckhead friends.
Someday, Keith, I will refer to you as my fuckhead friend.
Why wait?
I mean it in the most loving of way. I don't mean it in it's like they're fuckheads, but I'm a fuckhead.
Yeah.
Do I have time to get another glass of wine?
I think you should.
No one is innocent, but some are more guilty than others. Are you part of the great rock and roll swindle?
Let's talk about the magazine. There was lots of music in the magazine. There was lots of critique and art in the magazine. But I think, to my mind, the magazine is best associated with what I think Keith and I landed on as the alt comedy scene. There are so many names that are huge celebrities now, to my mind. I mean, Patton Oswalt for sure, David Cross for sure, Sarah Silverman,
Zach
for sure. How do you find yourself so much in the epicenter of that alt comedy scene as a guy that seems to be a self-professed music dude?
So, I don't want. I'm going to start off by saying I don't want to put anybody under the bus. So it's like I'm 55. Whatever has happened has happened. When I was doing Chunklet, I had zero interest in reading another interview with a musician ever again. Ever. And it just so happened that because of Atlanta and because of just being a rock dude, I was becoming friends with David Cross. And he was doing his Mr. Show movie, Run, Ronnie, Run, here in town. And we got along famously. And we hung out a lot, and I interviewed him. And it fueled my interest in interviewing people that weren't musicians. And one of those people was Patton Oswalt. Mm-hmm. And Patton and I, it was like, I don't know how else to put it, but we got along famously, and I think that a lot of it had to do with my inability to feed like a lot of societal norms about like managers and agents and all of this, and it's like meetings, and it's like instead it's like, how about if we just do it? Yeah. That's what Ian MacKay taught me. It's like, do you want to do it, or do you want to talk about doing it? And so what I was bringing to the table was this guy who just knew how to put on shows and knew how to record records and tour manage. It's the truth. And what I loved about doing that was I was allowed to be Henry Owings. And like Patton and Zach and Eugene and Maria and Brian and everybody was allowing me to be who I was. And it was a beautiful thing to be. It was a beautiful thing to be a part of. And I got to be able to produce comedy records. I got to be able to produce specials and whatever. But what I loved is it felt very simple. And then the second it stopped being simple, I started to get really weird. And it weighs heavy on me, but I hold my head high knowing how I behaved. But sure, people are famous, people are millionaires. Great. But when I look at what I've done, like with Comedians of Comedy and Zach and Brian and whatever, I'm really lucky. I'm really, really lucky. And I think that there's plenty to enjoy out there, but it's not with them. It's like I think that there's just a continual barrage of youngsters coming around, and I don't know who it's going to be, but there's plenty here in Atlanta. There's plenty here, plenty in Birmingham. There's plenty in LA. There's plenty in Chicago. There's plenty in Seattle. Go to a show. Go to a show and see what's going on, because there is some amazing shit going on. And that's the way I look at, my association. As far as alt comedy, it's like I'll take the credit, but also it's like I just wish I still had my friends. I just think that business gets really weird, and I don't like the business part of a lot of this. Are you still recording?
Was it success?
Yes. Yeah.
Was it success?
Like 4 specials. It's like quite well.
Was success the complicating factor in not keeping the publication going? Because that's
keeping
a magazine.
Chunklet had nothing to do with that. No. I'm going to pause you right there. Okay. Absolutely nothing with comedy has anything to do with Chunklet. Okay. It's like I when Chunklet stopped, I saw the writing on the wall. Mm-hmm. I was like, I was doing a magazine humbly, that I would say was the best that has ever been published. I would go on, as far as like indie rock goes, I'd put it up against the best of anything. Anything.
Certainly the most fun.
Thank you. In whatever year that was, it was before my daughter was born, 2004, 2005. But I just remember thinking to myself, it's like, now is a good time. Now, because bear in mind, I was coming from Athens. Georgia. The idea that anybody ever would read my writing, ever was a stretch. So when Chunklet stopped being Chunklet the magazine, it really didn't bother me too much. It felt like it's not like I'm not going to stop writing. I mean, it's like I'm still an asshole that has a billion ideas. So it's like I'll just keep manifesting those ideas, and if it's in a book or a DVD or whatever it is, I'm lucky. It's like punk rock taught me this.
Yeah. And you hear this over and over again from people that were there when there was nothing, but it sounds like the millions of dollars and the fame has changed some people, not all. I'm sure some of those people you're still very good friends with, but it does alter the course of one's trajectory and perspective.
I sleep extraordinarily well at night. And I don't care how rich anybody is. It is an immaterial construct. But I wonder how they sleep with themselves at night. Plain and simple.
All right.
The temptation to ask.
No, I'll answer. Like, nobody has ever asked me. And I've never really talked about this.
Well, that's what we do here on Abandoned Album. We have folks to talk about it.
Oh, shut up.
That's what we get.
Geoff.
Who's the asshole? Name names.
Well,
drop receipts.
Well, but I can't believe as a kid that was just always like, I'm a fan.
Right.
I will and will continue to be and will always be a fan. When I think of me in relation to comedy,
yeah,
there's a billion of us. And there's nothing special about me that's, it's like I just put on the right shows and was happy to be part of it, and it's like, yeah, it was a stepping stone.
Was
welcome
there
to indie rock?
Yeah, well, we talk about indie rock.
Myself on the back.
Yeah, punk rock is an ethos, I think, more so than a sound, and so I'm curious. It's only in hindsight that I think most punk bands look back and realize when punk was becoming a thing that it was happening. And I wonder if during that time, how quickly did a sense of self-awareness, because alt comedy did become a tagline. It became its own scene unto itself. I'm wondering if there was ever any self-awareness that, hey, and I think that same window of time, we are also seeing the rise of, and I use the term very loosely, alternative radio.
Right.
Alternative rock. It's still rock and roll in its guts, but it was eschewing certain social norms that you were of how a rock band was supposed to behave. And I think that's what you got from alt comedy was a distancing from certain comedy norms that somebody like Zach probably he didn't even think about it. He just did it. But
what I loved about being part of all of that is no different. Like, what is it? 8:00 on a Monday. I'm no different now than I was back then. I'm not a lockstep tour manager. I'm not the kind of tour manager to say it's like, it's. I love those that are so slick. I'm not one of them. And I like to think that I was, if not a good tour manager, at least an above average tour manager. And what I loved about touring with Patton and Zach and Brian and Maria and Eugene and all of them was my disinterest in their celebrity and more interest in pleasing them and making them happy in the moment. And it could be in Ann Arbor or Northern Florida or Mount Shasta, California. It's like I really truly believe that every comedian wants to be a rock star, and every rock star wants to be a comedian. And that's kind of where this very subtle gray area in all comedy kind of, it's like Portlandia, like whatever. I mean, all of it comes from the same place. And to me, I found it quite tiresome to try and capitalize on that. But, it's, I've been on the wrong side many times. That's how I met Brian Teasley. Has it diminished at all? Has it gone beneath a 7 yet? 7 out of 10?
Are you shooting to go down?
Look, Keith, I am forever a people pleaser.
Okay.
My interest is good radio.
No,
So,
I'm at a solid 8.5 with Geoff.
8.5? Good.
Yep.
Good. Geoff, go.
I'm curious. I think most people probably would like to hear more of the comedy stories, but I'm more of the let's hear more about the Don Caballero releases. I'm going to meet you in the middle. I was interviewed for a Don Cab documentary this past week, which I am proud to say I think I might be a producer on, but I think it's mostly because I'm just a diehard loser fan of Don Cab. And they need as much material as they have. Comedy versus music is always a weird thing. And when I think of Chunklet in relation to comedy, it's no dissimilar than me thinking about Chunklet in relation to music, because it's like, I'm just like, I never wanted to be a music magazine. I never wanted to be a comedy magazine. I wanted Chunklet to be Chunklet. I wanted it to be its own thing.
Hello.
Hey, Finger.
Who's this, Clarice or Roberta?
This is Clarice.
Oh, what's up, Clarice? What do you need?
I want to come on over there and get some of that sweet love.
Oh, so you want to come over and get it?
Yeah, I definitely want to come over and get it.
So, what you're saying is that perhaps you might want to come over and get it. 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 Hello, everybody. Yeah, I'm putting on my Axe body spray with my turtleneck on. Sucking it off 2006 style. Just taking the wrapper off the lollipop. Ready to suck it off. It's Friday night, and it's time to party. Keep with the beat, don't be retarded. Put on the pants my mama gave me, hoping tonight that the dance club will save me. Forgot my watch, but it doesn't even matter, cause I'm staying out all night. Gonna spray my baby batter. Spot me a hottie sitting in the corner. I walk across the room and say, girl, I gotta warn you.
If you show me your fanny pack, I'll show you my fanny. If you show me your fanny pack, I'll show you my fanny.
If you want me to get with you, there's only one thing you gotta do. Come on and get it. Other than good. Other than good. Come on and get it.
As you gather these artifacts, you know, these concert posters and manifestos and things from all over the South.
Yeah.
Is there something that jumps out as real treasure to you? Like, holy shit, can you believe we found this?
Yes. I think my least favorite, but most favorite thing to find is racist shit. And
God damn it. As an Alabamian, I'm a little sensitive to what are we about to expose?
I will tread lightly but respectfully. In the American Atlanta University, at part of the HBCU, body of work, there is a piece from our good friend Dick Gregory. Does anybody know who Dick Gregory is?
I do, yeah.
Of course, we do. So Dick Gregory was the epicenter for positive Black direction in the mid 60s, before Martin Luther King, and he was a comedian. He did a show in Atlanta. It is hands down one of the most visceral pieces I have ever seen. It is a close-up photo of a Klansman. Close-up. And it's I want you to think like a Klansman coming at you. And underneath it says something along the lines of what is it? Fuck. I'm sorry. I've had too much wine. The long and the short of it is, this is the face of Atlanta. Come and help change it. And it was a Dick Gregory poster in 1966. And I can send it to you if you want to use it for.
I would love that.
It is hands down one of the most. It is one of the most controversial posters I've ever seen in my life, and the fact that it was in 1966.
Yeah.
It really hits home. It's profound in the way few things are profound in 1966. So the close-up photo, it has a Klansman and it says at the Crystals at 1 o'clock in the morning. When I think of Dick Gregory, the balls it took to put up that flyer as a Black man in 1966.
Well, you know what he titled his autobiography? Do you know what he titled his autobiography?
Oh, sounds about right.
Yeah, that's balls.
If we can wrap it up soon, that would be great. It's been a weird day for me, and so I just hope I wasn't too rambling.
I mean, I could go in on Athens in 1992. We could probably do a solid.
Anything you want, dude. It's I was in Athens in 1992. I couldn't believe I wasn't told to leave.
Yeah.
Well, like Geoff, just bear in mind, it's like when I moved to Athens, when I saw Curtis from Porn Orchard working at Cookies and Company, I thought that I had seen royalty. Like he was working for like minimum wage at a sandwich shop. And so when I got to see Porn Orchard, when I got to see Roosevelt, when I got to see all of these bands that were going on in that era, I thought that I was living my record collection. It was, I was giddy. I couldn't believe it.
I always got the impression that the Elephant Six group of bands, and then there's you reference a lot of the more post-punk bands that people tend to embrace from that region. I always got the impression that there was a pivot as a musical community where that city and that scene said, without ever saying it, we're not fucking REM. We're going to do our own thing to be our own thing and distance ourselves from, because that's all anybody wanted to talk about in Athens was REM and their success.
Look, man, I have no beef with REM, but like when I lived in Athens, like you didn't so much as talk about REM. It's kind of like talking about the Eye of Sauron. It's like I mean, like, are you saying that you want to go and like see the Great Overlord? I absolutely, no disrespect to REM, but like where I was coming from was like club rat, and nobody was talking about REM at Manor Astroman shows or whatever. But coincidentally or not coincidentally, Peter Buck from REM, he was standing next to me at that Club Fred show in 1992. And the only reason I know that, Geoff, the only reason I know that is because when I was on tour with Manor Astroman in 1996 in Seattle, playing at the Crocodile, Peter Buck went up to Star Crunch, Brian from Manor Astroman, and said, I saw you at Club Fred in 1992, and I tapped him on the shoulder and I said, Sunny night.
I think he's holding it. Hold it.
It was really nice.
All I got.
It was really nice.
Yeah.
Well, the thing that's weird for me is that the University of Georgia offered me a publishing imprint.
Yeah, that's really impressive.
Thank you.
It's awesome.
But one of the 5 books that are coming out are, if I may, kind of gigantic. Good. And one is my Elephant Six archive, like my Henry Owings is bullshit. And as a punter, as somebody who got here in 91, I'm a bit impressed with what I'm turning in. But what I also am really excited about is doing additional material, and not when I was there, but the B-52 stuff.
Yeah.
And what I can't believe as somebody who wasn't there is how many of those motherfuckers trust me. Again, I got there in 91.
Yeah.
You feel me? It's like, where are the motherfuckers that were there when they were there?
Yeah.
Anyone? And so that's how I'm trying to approach all of this is I'm nobody. It's
Henry, let me ask you a question. Do you have a publication date for these books? Or
so Plus One Athens, the reissue is coming out in March. The Elephant 6 book is coming out in March. And then the B-52s, whatever it is coming out next Christmas.
Okay, cool. Perfect.
Very cool. Hey, man, thank you.
I can't believe it's coming out, and I can't believe I'm the fucking moron doing it. Go ahead, Geoff.
Of all the things that we described, of author, record label, is there one way, if you had to describe yourself, journalist, how do you sum yourself up to somebody?
Charlotte's dad.
Oh, that's great.
Sir, you stuck the landing on that so beautifully.
Shot it right up to a 10.
Dude,
there's the 10, man.
I mean this with all humility. I never thought I'd be a dad. And the fact that my daughter is such an absolute right asshole, but she is my kid. And I absolutely adore her more than anything in my pot. So yes, anybody who ever asks, what's the one thing I'm most proud of? It's being Charlotte's dad.
That's beautiful.
I think that's marvelous.
I mean that. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for the time.
Yeah, really appreciate it. Henry, thank you.
Many thanks to Henry for the time and for sharing his stories. Be sure to check out our show notes for all the links.
This episode of Abandoned Albums was written and produced by Keith R. Higgins and Geoff Calhoun. The show was recorded at Thunderlove Studio, where it was engineered by
Daphne Morris,
with help from
Penetration.
Abandoned Albums was edited by
Vic Titball,
with help from
Clem Fandango.
At the beginning of this podcast, you were treated to a diverse selection of music, including the soulful sounds of Forever by Little Steven and the Disciples of Soul, the indie vibes of Velvet Roof by Buffalo Tom, and the raw energy of Nevermind by The Replacements. Our theme song is Kiss the Earth by The Renegades. You can stream all of these artists wherever you stream your favorite music. The songs you heard during this podcast were Television Fission by Man or Astroman, Receiver by Lifeguard, Nodal Dance Party by Nodell, 8 Letters by Dove, For Respect by Don Caballero, Circle of Monkeys by Limbo District, and lastly, Up in Them Guts by Zach Galifianakis. You can find these artists on your favorite streaming service or on the Chunklet Bandcamp website. Please support independent artists.
Original music by Mike Pellegrino.
If you like what you've heard, please remember to subscribe and leave us a rating. It helps other people find the podcast. Thanks for listening.
Grazie.
Bailey Leaf,
Rob Janicki, Mike Pellegrino, Thurina Bella,
Eric Beatner, S.W. Loudon, Ronnie Barnett,
Michael Janicki, Peyton Janicki.
This show's executive producer is Lulu McGillicuddy and is in the loving memory of
Lucius Thunderlove.
Abandoned Albums receives funding from Damon Pharmaceuticals, the makers of Ben Affleck. Ben Affleck is the only chewable tablet made to combat stomach unease associated with mediocrity. Taken daily, Ben Affleck can help combat explosive gastrointestinal shame. You can find a multitude of flavors in the incontinence section of your local pharmacy. Ben Affleck, save yourself the embarrassment.
The side effects include dry mouth, headache, anal leakage, muscle soreness, bad decisions, gender confusion, constipation, evil spirit possession, and banality. Use only as directed.
And now, until we meet again next time, I remain as always obediently yours.
Abandoned Albums is a production of Paw Print Media.